Welcome, everybody. Great to have you with us. This is episode number 36 of the Daily Crossing. We definitely have some interesting things to discuss today, but I definitely want to introduce you some of the people that are familiar faces. You already know what the team looks like, but definitely Alexi Smith. They happen to be today. I believe Alexi is going to be just like myself. He's going to be reporting from New York. Were you born in New York
Yeah. I was born in Brooklyn, in Flatbush.
you were born? Look at that, a
Yes,
Brooklyn
yes, yes,
boy
yes.
somewhere.
But
And
I'm in
then
Queens right
also,
now.
but Queens, you kind of
Yes.
betrayed it. You betrayed the border that gave you life. You know what I mean? But that's okay. And then we have also with us Lorena Pernalete, who was not born in New York.
Live from
Yeah.
Orlando.
From Orlando City, definitely with us, joining us. Guys, great to see you. A couple of things that I want to make sure that we can cover,
Good to be
and
here.
we're probably going to make this conversation short and sweet for a number of reasons. Just like you, Alexi, I'm in New York. We happen to be here for business reasons.
Yep.
Many exciting things happening in the state of New York.
Fashion
For
Week.
us, business-wise, you know what I mean? I'm going to tell you, it was impossible to get a hotel room just because, again, Fashion Week, and we have a lot going on here. So it's like I couldn't understand how many people wanted to travel to New York, and then somebody reminded me, hey, it's Fashion Week, so you're going to be competing for a lot of people. You know, again, you forget that New York still has the capability to attract so many people,
Oh, yes.
but it's still going on. I want to just give you a couple of points, and we probably close it with a little bit of a perspective about New York as a state and as a city. But we're going to open it up. Guys, I wanted to go over the whole situation about the Hunter Biden indictment and what would that look like, what kind of impact that can potentially have for the presidential election. And also, I want to let you know about the position that Elon Musk and many other tech giants, after they were essentially were in front of Congress, giving their opinion and some of the suggestions about artificial intelligence. You know, I mean, at this point, everybody is pro legislation or some kind of control. You know, I mean, to be able to see if we don't lose control of the whole thing. You know what I mean? And finally, let's touch a little bit about what's going on with the economy. A lot of people want to argue that the economy is going in the right direction and that we are doing better. But there's also another group that is arguing that it's going the opposite direction, that we're heading into a cliff right now. Is the real estate is going to be against stock market. And so, but then in between the so-called professional specialists, pundits, right, we have the people, and right now the average person is feeling a lot less confident. Obviously, employment reports came out a lot less than we normally see being reported and inspected. So, but guys, let's great seeing you. And then, like I said, we're gonna touch it up. If you please remind me to make sure that we do say something about the situation connected to New York. You know, it's painful, and I think that Alexi will relate to this. You know, New York is one of those places where either you love it or you hate it.
Hmm.
There is no in between.
Yeah.
There is no in between. So if you're not connected to New York, you come to a place. There's nothing about it that you like. Once you love the place, just about everything. It's a little messy. It's a little quick, but it's controlled chaos. Like I want you to know that even the traffic, the way it flows, the way that things are, the whole idea that things move a little faster. Everybody speaks a little faster. Everybody walks a little faster. It's just, it's just a different reality.
Hmm.
And it's painful to see some areas of trouble, some areas that are declining. But then again, New York, there's something about New York that always has the ability to weather some. This is not the worst moment for New York, but it's definitely an interesting moment. We'll get back to that. I definitely want to hear your perspective on that, being that you also happen to be here. I drove around different places. I wanted to see, just get a little perspective. But guys, the situation with Hunter Biden, what is your perspective about this indictment happening now? What do you think it would be the impact for a president that is having a hard time right now connecting with people based on, many mishaps? You know what I mean? There's just a lot of things that are not going well in terms of communicating with people, saying the wrong things, making the wrong statements, in some cases making some false claims about things that people are saying that never happened. What are you talking about? And so, and you're talking about an aging president. Our country is very divided. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people will support him no matter what. A lot of people will support his agenda no matter what. I always like to be respectful of the office of the presidency. The fact of the matter is that means a lot to me. But the fact of the matter is that I don't know if this is a president that will even have a single chance of getting reelected. And I think that the situation with his son is really coming back right now with a vengeance. And I think that a lot of the things that we see happening in politics is turning out to be like that retaliation. But what is your take on what's taking place in terms of timing and what it means
Yeah.
for the
I'll
actual
jump
election?
in. I'll jump in.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not as I guess I don't think that it's gonna make a big difference, for Biden, president right now. Just because of all the things that I've seen happen in the past. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I've seen too many things happen with this son where it kind of just gets swept under the rug. No one really cares too much about it. So I don't know if it's going to have a huge impact on what he's going to be able to do or not do as far as the election. But here's what I do believe. I think that both what's happening with Biden and what's happening with Trump is just a matter of, are they able to handle all this, mentally, because they may just get tired of, dealing with the extra stress, but I don't think it will be a big enough thing to stop him from, doing what he needs to do. But if it gets in his head, then that's what's going to stop him, so I think the same thing that, is going on with Trump. I don't think anyone can stop Trump, but Trump can stop Trump, but I think it's a similar situation here where I don't see any of these things preventing him from being able to do it unless he just can't deal with the stress. That's how I feel about it.
Welcome to impeachment season, right? That's kind of where my mind goes. Is everybody's just gonna be throwing the word impeachment. That's just the way that it is. In this sense, looking at it, I don't even think that Hunter's going to be seeing any jail time, to be honest with you. The same thing as, especially, if Trump hasn't seen jail time, especially this guy, because he's so protected with all of the, the alphabet agencies that are involved in the whole process. So, I mean, it's good to see there was an indictment because there is something that was wrong. It's still a lot of stuff on the table that could potentially go wrong. And I think this is a way of kind of testing the public. In my way, that's it's like, hey, let's see how they respond to this. Because they let it get, they, and, whatever they means, right. They, and them, right. It's all of them pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
But they're kind of testing the waters, seeing, okay, where this is going to take us and stuff like that. Biden has a 40% approval rating right now and a 56, I believe, disapproval rating. And so the gap keeps on getting bigger and bigger. And so, it's a little bit of what you were saying, Marvin. You said, we don't know if this is going to be a president that's going to be running for a second term or that he's going to be allowed based on age and based on a couple of things that are doing. But to me, this is just a test. Hey, let's see how the public responds. Let's see where everybody's at with it. And it's a matter of just, nothing necessarily is going to happen as far as jail time for me. And President Biden, make no mistake about it, is involved in this thing by proxy. So just like we are not in a war with Ukraine, the same thing has happened with Hunter Biden and President Biden. So that's where I'm at with it.
I get mixed feelings about this whole situation for the simple fact that if you don't want President Biden to be reelected, and half of the country doesn't, and probably at least right now, just a little more than that, what you have is a situation where a lot of times it just becomes a mistake. Because I understand that we definitely got to uphold the rule of law, you know what I mean? And I hope that that's exactly what's going to take place here, you know what I mean? If there's any, and it appears to be a significant amount of abuses. The whole situation where even the actual gun charges, opposed to the whole conversation that we had about the tax evasion issues, that remember, it is the statute of limitation that ran out. It appears that people knew that was about to happen and let it happen. Allowed it to happen. That's already a very scary situation because again, we go back to the argument of a two-tier, justice system, right, that intentionally let somebody go. When we have so many people, we know very famous people that got, arrested and did time for the same issues that this man was supposed to be indicted for. But now that it's down to the gun charge, it's not a simple charge because of his own personal history. This is somebody that got arrested before, had significant amount of trouble. And so this is one of those things that he was not supposed to even be connected, touching, or have access to. That's the reason why they were trying to make that deal that fell apart. If this thing goes through, he's looking at 20 years plus. But we know, based on what we know, this is going to be more than likely not something that's going to take place or let's see how the whole thing goes. You know what I mean?
We should put a poll though and see like if that mugshot is gonna like compete, is gonna create a $7 million fundraising event for for the
Well, no,
Biden
I agree with you.
for
If
the Biden
anything,
campaign. You know,
I
that'd be
agree
fun.
with you. I think if anything, we should put a poll to see, you know, what I mean, if people actually believe that he'll do time or not. You know what I mean? I think that's,
Yeah, nah,
and I'm in the camp that says I don't think he's going to be doing any time.
nah.
Not only that, an impeachment process, though, for the people that don't even pay attention to politics, the way they see it, they see everybody going after the president, and you actually start sympathizing with the guy. So for me, these things, if they not handled well, they actually help the person that
Right.
is in the process of getting impeached. There's a lot of people that didn't like Donald Trump. They now are saying, "Come on, it's too much."
Impeachment, jail, the
Yeah,
whole thing. Yeah, so everybody's like, oh
I
man,
didn't, I didn't even know who Bill Clinton was, like for real, until the whole Monica Lewinsky situation came out. And then I'm like, and then I said, you know what I mean? Yeah, what he did is wrong,
Mhm.
but you know, but how wrong is it? You know what I mean? And then I go back to, I grew up in a place where if the president didn't have a couple of girlfriends on the side, there was something wrong with the president. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So the way Republicans went about it, I found myself sympathizing with Bill Clinton, saying this is too much. This is because it goes from you're attacking that person who did something wrong to then looking like you're disrespecting the office of the presidency. That's when it can bite everybody in the butt. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
let's see how it goes. You know what I mean? I think that the timing is also always questionable about these things. You know what I mean? They come out enough time so that you can forget about it by the time you get to the election, or enough time so that you can use it as a tool. And so this moment, I'm going to be very honest with you, the whole re-election process, unless people are going to truly, truly just say, I'm going party line, I couldn't care less how dysfunctional this poor man, because at this point, you can see him struggling with a lot of things, though. This is not people making anything up. And then when you keep it away from the teleprompter, it's like the stuff that he will say, I was there in 9/11, to like, when exactly were you here? Like, and then that happened when I went to school too, and I was like, he's saying things it never happened, and there's already a lot of reporters are actually questioning the press secretary. So like, listen, are we supposed to just like not pay attention to this and pretend that he's not either giving incorrect information or he's just lying to people? Like, what do you want us to do with this?
Yeah.
Because this is actually happening in front of everybody's eyes, and
So
and they didn't even know how to respond to that.
So I have a question. What do you think is going to happen with, it seems like the language is coming back, mask up. Do you think we're going to go back into whole closing states, maybe the country? And do you think that's going to be like a strategy to keep President Biden on there? Because that playbook worked last time. It definitely worked. There was a lot of mail-in ballots. There was a lot of different things that happened that wouldn't have normally happened if the country hadn't been shut down due to a pandemic. You can hear the language again. Hey, COVID is on the rise. You're seeing more people with masks, even here in the state of Florida, where a lot of people. Today, I saw a guy driving. It was him and somebody else in his car, and he had a mask, and the other person didn't. And it was just
Crazy.
so you're already seeing that. Do you think that playbook is gonna be like it works? It's a system. Do you think they're gonna run that play again, and how will it work this time around?
That was going to be my question right back to you, meaning, did it work the last time? And it worked very well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You have somebody that, again, everybody was supporting party lines. You know what I mean? They didn't get the chance to see a couple of interviews that made it clear that there was something where he was not as sharp as he used to be, especially when he was running as vice president for the first time. You know what I mean? You can see a guy, the many times that he ran as a senator, this guy was a little bit of an aggressive campaigner, you know what I mean, and an aggressive debater, you know what I mean. And right now, is you can see somebody who's significantly declining. But so what do you do? Well, yeah, keep everybody. It's just that I don't know that the American people, the overwhelming amount. I mean, there's some areas in the country that I'm very much okay with additional lockdowns and pour more money into the economy and do other things that hopefully they're going to be okay with. And we already seen, you know what I mean, a lot of school districts and a lot of school areas already demanding for people to listen. Yeah, even in the state of Florida, you know what I mean? I had a doctor visit last week. That was the first thing that hey, can you wear a mask? And I'm like, I thought we were done with this thing, you know what I mean? And so, but that's not the case. And so, as long as enough people go along with it, they will have the ability to bring it back. But again, it takes for the majority, the overwhelming amount of people to do that. And that's what the whole argument about the whole immigration issue goes back to becoming an issue. You know what I mean? You want me to do all of these things. You want me to take, 35 more vaccines. You want me to get more masks every single time when I go somewhere else. But everybody else that's coming in, we know that there's no vaccination. It's not a small amount of people. And it's not a small amount of people that's staying at the border anymore. We have a lot of people that are going in different locations. So it's today, though, there's a lot of people that will comply no matter what. And there's a lot of people that at this point, I think that the overwhelming majority is saying, I don't buy it anymore. I don't think I want to be a part of it. Listen, I'm looking for a new doctor. Let me put it out. You know what I mean? Because I didn't like that. Because it felt that it was more a protocol than a real health safety, self-hazard type of issue. So if they can run the play, if you can run a play that already worked very well for you in the past, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? So I can definitely see these guys taking advantage of the whole situation. I just don't know in terms of the timing, you know what I mean, how this is going to, it's close enough to the election where it can really be a problem, but it's still far enough. There's so many things that are going to happen before we actually get to election time that this is not going to be, not even news anymore. Most people are not even reporting these things. Yep. So who knows where it goes, you know what I mean? So, but guys, the whole issue about AI, Congress had a hearing, summoned some of the best minds that we have when it comes to technology. Elon Musk was there, Bill Gates was there, who for some reason has less of an issue, less of a concern about regulating AI, but he still supports the idea. Mark Zuckerberg was there, you know what I mean? And one of the things that I want you to keep in mind is today is going to be more and more impossible to know that the stuff that you see in TV, especially the stuff that you see in social media, is real. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, for everybody, just to let them know, I am a lot younger than I look like in this video right now. They're doing this on purpose. They make me
wisdom. So you look like that's a complete lie.
Exactly. They just wanted they want to make me look wiser. That's all it is. But I want you to know that I'm younger and I have a lot more hair than what you get to see right now. But guys, it's going to become impossible to be able to know. And the issue is that even if it gets to be properly regulated, right? Let's just talk about the election right now, coming up, right? And the many issues that we were describing during the time of the Trump election, Trump getting elected and Trump losing to President Biden, right? Like everybody agreed that many things that happen in social media are impossible to describe. Today, we have videos of people that sound like that. Jordan Peterson got a phone call from somebody that sounded that it was the voice of Ben Shapiro. Damn. They have a business relationship. By the way, Ben Shapiro is not a voice that, exactly what he sounds like. That not only is well known, but he's got a very unique sound to his voice, right? His tonality, the speed on how you you can't it's Ben Shapiro when you get that phone. And literally, Jordan said it took me a few minutes. He realized that something was off about the whole thing. But the very beginning of the conversation, they conducted a conversation for about 5 minutes, and he could not tell that it was not Ben Shapiro. Damn. That's how scary it is. So now Lorena, you get a phone call from your mom saying, "Hey, listen, this just happened right now. Can you send this amount of money to these people? Right now." It's please don't. Yeah, and you're like, holy crap. If you absolutely believe that is the person, you're going to react to that in 2 seconds, right? And so the fact of the matter is that Elon Musk, as you can see there, is actually overwhelming consensus. There's something has to be done. There's some level of regulation has to be introduced. They don't know exactly, at what level, what point, how they're going to do it successfully is going to be an issue. But I'm going to tell you, out of everything that we can potentially be concerned about the next election, this is it. This is as good as it gets. So, Alexi, imagine the person that is not. Imagine the amount of people that we know that in reality they normally don't follow politics, but they still will sit in front of watch the news, or they will, Facebook, they will open a video here and there, a
Mhm.
message or something else, and they seen something that sounds like or looks like the image of a President Trump saying something so outrageous.
Yeah.
So outrageous. I don't know why we stop burning people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that can apply to the Holocaust. That can apply to slavery. That can. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
You can offend millions of people in a
Correct.
single statement, and you have nothing to do with it. Can
Yeah.
you imagine the impact that that's going to have in the next election?
Yeah, so I got a couple things. So number one, I don't think this is something that they're gonna start doing now. I think this is something that they are already doing. There's a documentary about it. With I think it's called I don't remember the name of the documentary, but the name of the group is Cambridge Analytica, right? Where they work with AI. They do a lot of stuff on social media, and pretty much according to them, they say that they helped influence the last couple of elections based off of exactly that. Somebody will go on Facebook, you'll see a message or something on it wasn't artificial, but it was a real message or a real something that you'll see that may influence you to vote one way or another. So I think that this is something that's going to continue. Here's the biggest issue that I have with people like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, or any of these individuals meeting on an issue about AI is they all benefit from it. So at the end of the day, as much as they're going to sound concerned, they're not going to be too concerned because this is in their industry. As far as what they do, it's going to be a huge benefit, as far as the amount of money that's being made. Problem is that same benefit is going to come with all these side effects. And I think there's no way around it. Why? Because the people that want to make money are going to make money from AI. The people who want to be able to bamboozle you or fool you with AI, they're going to want to do that. So then I think it's just one of those things where we got to be aware of what's going to happen, with AI. There's no putting Pandora back in the box. It's out. It's going to happen. So I think the biggest thing is for us to just be aware that things like this can and will continue to happen. So we're prepared for it. But there's zero regulation that's going to stop what's going to happen with AI. I think it's only a matter of postponing it or keeping it out of the hands of everyone. It's like once the helicopter exists, everybody can fly. Once planes exist, everybody can fly. But if I create a price point that's over 500,000, now only certain individuals have access to planes and helicopters, but there's no going back. There's no going back to the Stone Ages. We have it. It's going to be around. It's just a matter of who has access to the AI, who's going to be using it and not using it. And I think that's what we got to be concerned with. But yeah.
Lorena, that's one of.
So,
I wanted to ask you, Lorena, because that was one of the issues
mhm.
that Elon Musk was describing. We're already too late. We cannot put the genie back in the bottle.
Mhm.
It's already out, and so it's already out there. Again, I asked you the same question in terms of the impact that it can potentially have, especially when it comes to the election, because at this point,
Yeah.
that is to me, that would be the number one concern going into it.
So there's a couple of things that cross my mind. The first one is, understanding the deep fakes and stuff like that. I remember my WhatsApp account was hacked, and I was asking people for money and stuff like that. And it was one of the scariest things that have happened. My Instagram account, I do a lot of business by way of Instagram. My Instagram account was hacked, and I was offering some juices and stuff like that. And thankfully, we were able to get it back because we have a
Hopefully, you help a lot of people become healthier.
Yeah. No, not really. Not really. Definitely not with that green juice, just so you know. And so it's kind of scary to live through that. I cannot begin to imagine what's going to happen. I agree with Alexi. It's here to stay. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle. Here's what you can do, though. I trust and I believe in capitalism, and I believe in competition. I believe that more and more people should be jumping into the whole creation of AI, so that we have an opportunity to keep some companies honest. If it belongs only to one side or one entity, forget which side at this very moment, whether it's left, right, up, down, who cares? For me, it's more of a matter of, okay, how many people have access to this, right? because that person holds a lot of power. Now, if there's multiple people working through it, then you get to keep them competitive, and competition keeps everybody honest. That's the one thing about capitalism, is that it gives us the opportunity to keep as honest as possible, because when somebody gets fed up with the with the BS, then that's when things you shift, right? There's a lot of people that don't use Google right now as a search engine. They use a Google Duck or Duck something. There's different even browsers that people use specifically because of competition. So I believe in that. I believe competition keeps AI honest, and there is no such thing as a Department of Regulation or a Federal Department of AI. I do believe that it has to happen. I'm not a lot pro regulation though, because once you get the government involved in certain places, they mess things up and they become more expensive for no reason. But there is gotta be a way for there to be the rule of law, like, right, law and order put in place in certain spaces. I don't know, to be honest with you, how it would be implemented. I'd leave that to the scholars and the people that understand it a little better. But I agree with that. Competition and a little bit of guidance when it comes to the rule of law, I think is absolutely necessary, but we cannot stay away from it. On the end of the consumer, for me, it's a matter of, trust but verify type of thing, right? It's a concept that you mention always. You've taught me to always trust but verify. And in an age where anybody can look and sound like anybody online or over the phone, this is the time for you to, like, really do business with people, like, more in person.
In
So I think
person.
it's even gonna push more of an in-person business model, which we're all staying away from Zoom as much as we can, especially in our business model. And a lot of people are like, we're done working remote. So it's just, honestly, I think it's gonna come full circle.
Well, here's the one thing that I want to give you the perspective, both, right, to you both. This is how I see it. When it comes to AI, a guy who spent $44 billion, almost $45 billion to maintain some level of free speech out there. He goes to buy Twitter, today we know it as X. It's the same guy who's legally concerned and issuing warnings about how bad this thing can actually go if it goes bad. And so when he's the one who's asking for some level of regulations, is the only reason why I'm saying, if this guy who spent that amount of money precisely because he wanted to deregulate free speech in the market, but he's now saying this is a bigger problem, and most people don't understand how bad it can actually get if it goes bad, then I get a little concerned. And just based on that alone, puts me in a position where I'm saying, okay, that what that means to me is that we truly have to welcome some level of regulation. Now, at what level, and like everybody was saying, to be able to break it down, especially to keep it away from, weapons of mass destruction. You know what I mean? You don't want a nuke to be going somewhere because a system was able to make this happen. Many years ago, Shia LaBeouf was able to be part of a movie called Eagle Eye. Mm-hmm. And it was essentially describing that, a centralized system that was able to control, bypass. We already have those centralized systems in place. If we lose control of those systems, so that can be a very scary situation. But security purposes, for security reasons, and remember, the problem is that today we are not the only nuclear country. Today we have many countries who actually they put a lot less time and a lot less work on keeping their systems safe and safer than we do. So it's not just the things that we don't do, it's that if we don't get it right and we don't help other people get it right, this can truly become an issue.
It's true.
So only God knows. But this next election, I think that in Cambridge Analytics did have something to do with having access to private information and manipulating information, and they use every single social media platform to do that. They definitely got into some significant amount of trouble. They're not going to stop because again, it's also a business. They make a ton of money. The social media platforms, I agree with you, they make a ton of money. I don't know if they're going to walk away from that. But going into money, the economy right now, guys, you got two different groups of people saying we're doing phenomenal. And then there's another group of people saying, you better hold on to your pants. We're going into the last, literally at this point, we're halfway September.
Yep. 15 days.
We give or take. and then we going into the last quarter of the year. We are already in the last quarter of the year. So how do you see it though? How do you see this whole situation? Let me rephrase that. If you have three recommendations to give to people right now, going into, remember, we're going into holidays. Thanksgiving is around the corner. Christmas is going around the corner. New Year's is like, what would be your top three recommendations for people? And I want to talk about the people that are concerned, to be honest with you, about the economy, because usually somebody who's either not making enough money or already has a significant amount of credit card bills or whatever the case may be. The person that already has a lot of money, they're not concerned about, good economy, bad economy, they're going to survive it. So what do you say to somebody who is concerned?
Um, so for me, yeah, I always look at the what I see around me versus what I hear around me, because it's not always the same thing, So I remember last time we were talking about, when you go to the grocery store, you see a lot less people, with their full shopping carts, right? So regardless of what they're saying about how the economy is doing great or how better it's doing, I think people are still buying less food. The price of food is going up. People are not like if you ask the average person when they go to the gas station, do they fill up their tank? The answer is no. They put $20. They're not just filling it up, right? So I think regardless of how the economy look like it's doing, I don't think we're in the position we need to be in yet. And here's the danger with that. If I feel like everything is going good, I feel like everything is in a better position, then maybe I might do something that I wouldn't have done in the past, or something that it's too early. Like I might buy a house before I was ready to buy that house, or I might buy this car before I was ready to buy this car, or I might, spend all my savings on Christmas or Thanksgiving when I probably should have, cut back if the whole world was saying that the world was on fire. So I think the danger with them saying that everything is all good, but it doesn't look like, from what I'm seeing, that everything is all good, is that people, they get lazy. They'll be a lot more easy to spend, money on the wrong things. I think we still need to be concerned. We still need to be saving money. That doesn't mean you don't have Christmas, but don't go out and spend all your savings on gifts for your kids that they're not going to remember a week from now. So I think it's important for us to, number one, put ourselves in a position to make more money. Number two, we got to be real concerned with what we're spending our money on, because I don't see things are in a great position right now, at least not yet. Now, maybe in a couple months we will be, but I don't think we're there yet.
Awesome. So for me, being part of a business where there's a literary bulletin involved, we know very well that there are phenomenal number spinners, right? Where you can actually look at something from a one perspective or another, and you can tell that that was a number well spent. And so when you're looking at the language being out there, it's like, well, we're back and we regain everything pre-pandemic level. The language is pre-pandemic. Well, there's two things that come to my mind when it comes to that, is that the pandemic wasn't supposed to, like, if it didn't happen, we wouldn't be comparing pre-pandemic level. We will be much further ahead. I don't know if that makes any sense. And so, like, phenomenal that we got back and we're surpassing pre-pandemic level, but we're still behind as to where we would have been had the pandemic not happened. There was a 2-year window. For some states, it was longer than that. Thankfully, the state of Florida, so it was a little less, huh? And so you guys hanging out in New York, right? But so the pre-pandemic level, it's a number spinning for me, right? That's the way that I look at it. And the biggest impact that happened is not just that; it's the fact that, yeah, we regained the numbers, but what happened to the habits of the people? There was people for 2 years that weren't working. There was people for 2 years or more that are still in welfare, that are still, milking the system, or having the need to, let's forget about just milking the system. There are some people that legitimately weren't able, or are still not able, to get back on their feet because they lost their job. The check wasn't enough, and then to top it off, inflation just took off. And so how do you catch up, right? So here's the way that I'm processing, because you asked for 3 recommendations. The first one is, if you're concerned about Christmas right now, the time is now, right? You prepare for whatever's going to happen during Christmas. It depends on the decision that you made today. It depends on the actions that you're taking today. So your Christmas is going to depend on whatever actions, moves, and whatever it is that you want to do today. So I will start there. What can you do to start making more money now? Is it opening up a business? Is it getting a license so you become a professional somewhere? Is it getting a side hustle? I am pro you doing something where you're not tying yourself for another 40 hours to get paid per hour. I'm up for you getting tied up for another 100 hours if there's available on the week, but you being able to get paid based on the value that you bring to the table, and sales and stuff like that, right? The second thing is, when somebody like Michael Burry comes in and he bets against, the stock market $1.6 billion, it's time to pay attention. And so what are some of the things that I will, anything that has Michael Burry in it, I will pay attention to, just because this guy may be right. And for those of you that don't know who Michael Burry is the guy that predicted the bubble before the bubble was a thing, back in 2008, whenever the housing market completely collapsed. A good movie recommendation would be to watch The Big Short. So again, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I also don't want to be caught with my pants down. Pay attention is the only thing that I'm saying. And whatever this guy is doing, really, really do take it seriously. And the last one is not only pay attention to the things that are being put out there, the people that are seeing online. It's what Alexi was talking about. Pay attention to what's happening in your surroundings. There's a lot more people where you're inviting to the, hey, come over to my house. But now it's more bring your own beer type of thing, where before it's like, don't worry about it, don't bring anything. Now it's, hey, we're collecting $20, $40, $50 for us to be able to have a parrilla, right? Or to be able to have like a get together, a gathering, where before you'll be like, don't worry about it, we'll handle it. Just bring whatever you want, or you don't even have to just show up. Now it's more of a, hey, we're going to do something. You're expected to bring money. And so I see that more and more. Whatever the number spinners say, the levels of the economy, they're better, whatever. At the end of the day, I'm looking at the actions that are happening to the everyday families, and you can see that there's a deep impact. So, surround yourself. I guess the recommendation for that would be surround yourself with people that want to get better, that are talking about solutions versus the whole, oh my God, it's tough. And that's it. If you have to collect so that you guys can get together, phenomenal. What is that conversation going to be about in your gathering? Are you just going to shoot the, what? Or are you actually going to be talking about, hey, what can we do, man, so that we can come up with something, find a way? So that's where I would be.
100%. Guys, at the end, here's one of the things that I want you to remember. For a lot of people, when they say, how sophisticated do I need to be to understand who's the one who's giving the right advice, the wrong advice? Should I stand with a person who's saying there's nothing to worry about, things are okay, getting better? Should I stand with a group of people that are actually saying, things are really about to go, things are not well and they are going to get worse? Listen, the best way to understand where you stand is look at your bank account. Mm-hmm. That ultimately is the ultimate scorekeeper. It's going to remind you how you're doing, what are the issues that you're dealing with, and going into the next 90 days. I think that we're going into a time that's going to require higher discipline. A lot of easy money was put out there, and a lot of people ended up doing a lot of crazy shopping that is being paid for right now. But it's worse than that. It created that easy money mentality that is never healthy, is never a good thing to deal with. So I think a little bit of discipline is going to be needed. You know what I mean? So don't buy things you don't need, especially to impress people, you don't like, and you're using money you don't have. You know what I mean? And so, and that is essentially something that we always happen to be concerned about. You know what I mean? That if people go into every single year, every single season, business as usual, man, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? And so I think that ultimately that's the whole idea. Be very careful, be cautious. I think that we all collectively always give a recommendation to find a way to embrace the idea of becoming an entrepreneur, make some additional money, find ways to, like, a lot of people will get distracted, will use social media just as a distraction, not as a tool to even make the money. So find a way to monetize it, find a way to do things that will help you increase. Listen, the difference for some people right now is not making an extra $250,000. It's making an extra $10,000 for the year, an extra $20,000 for the year will make a hell of a difference. You know what I mean, on quality of life, and to be able to pay your bills on time. Other than that, it's one of those we'll see. You know what I mean? If if people keep predicting that the market is going to crash, and enough time goes by, I promise you, eventually it's gonna. The question is, when those people become right, where are you gonna be? How are you going to be standing? You know what I mean? And what will happen to you and your family? So that's definitely a reason to pay attention, guys. I want to close this conversation with this whole.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Marvin. Can I just add something there because you said something so profound. You said it's not making an additional $50,000. It's making an additional $10,000 for the year that would actually make a difference, and that's $28 a day if you divide it by 30 days. You know what I mean? So it's like, can I find a way? And using such a tool, right? Social media. This thing consumes so much time, energy, and money from you. And
correct.
so can you actually turn it into a, by the way, not making those games, and like there's people that send messages, they don't send them to me because they know I'll go off on them, right? But it's like I hear people that it's like, oh, they were sending me a message that there was a way that if you share this app, you can make X amount of dollars. I don't know what that is about. I hope that I don't get an invitation to that. Because then I know exactly what people are thinking, and I don't want to send that message, right? But here's the
Correct.
thing: it's like there is a way for you to monetize yourself. Again, picking up a trade, getting a license, and it's only $28 a week for you to, I mean, a day, excuse me, to make an additional $10,000. Most people spend $28 a day on coffee or eating out lunch. I'm not saying cut out the coffee or the eating out lunch. I'm never pro take stuff away. I'm pro make more money. So make a way that you have the opportunity to earn those additional 20, 30, $40 a day so that you can have your coffee. What is it? Have your cake and eat it too. That's the whole
That's
American
the way.
say. I'm
That's the
pro
way
like
it's supposed
have
to.
both.
Hmm.
That's the way it's supposed to be. But
Yeah.
anyway, guys, we're gonna be here in New York, Alexia and I, and one of the things that I want to do, I want to go around. I want to grab some images. I actually want to interview a few people. You know what I mean? I want to ask them, how do you feel about the state of the city? Because I'm going to tell you, some places do look like a bomb just went off. You know what I mean? And some other places, it's business as usual. People don't. So it depends on where you stand.
Yep.
We're gonna go by the Roosevelt Hotel. This is where Andrea Ocasio got heckled this morning because she was trying
Alejandra.
to give Alejandra. It's not Andrea.
Alejandra
Alejandra
Ocasio-Cortez.
Ocasio Cortez was heckled this morning. Thank you for the correction.
Mhm.
She again trying to paint the idea that there's more that we need to do, or again using the immigration tool, and people are really fed up. You know what I mean? Staten Island also had another situation where people came out to protest. You know what I mean? They were moving children to, I mean, not children in general. They were moving immigrants to a specific location. It was a school or near a school, and they say we don't want it here. We don't want this. This has to stop. There's got to be a different solution, and that is the point of it. You know what I mean? This is not. But let me make this very clear because I've been in New York my whole life, and a lot of people think that New Yorkers just don't care about people. That's not it. That's not it. What everybody's finding out is that there's a real solution that is needed for this problem, and it's not taking place. So I'm going to use the next couple of days to be having some conversations with people around the area, see how they feel about what's taking place, see how they feel about the economy, see how they feel about the current condition of the state of New York, the city. Are they optimistic, or are they feeling that we're going to be facing a downturn? Because I don't want it just to be my opinion, our opinion collectively. I want to see what people are really thinking about the whole process. So we'll do a couple of those things as we go around, but including going and by the Roosevelt Hotel and having a conversation with some of the immigrants that are being housed in that location. Alexi, Lorena, any final takeaways? Any thoughts? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, so for me, I guess the biggest thing is always, what we tell people is you just got to pay attention to your own situation. Before you go out and save the world, make sure you save yourself. Now one thing I do want to say is there is a difference between playing good offense and good defense, right? And with good offense, which is what we talk a lot about, is you making more money, making that extra $30 a day, making that extra $20,000 a year. That is good offense. But sometimes the best thing you could do is play good defense. And I don't mean stop buying coffee. That's not what it is. But maybe I make a difference as far as what purchase that I was making. So instead of buying a car that was 70,000, I got the car that was 40,000. So now my monthly payments, instead of it being $700 a month or $400 a month, that's an additional $300 that I got in my pocket that I'm not giving to somebody else. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think little choices like that we got to pay attention to, because here's what I'm thinking. If they are saying the economy is doing better than ever, that's going to give a lot of people a great opportunity. Why? Because they're going to be it's going to be easier for you to get access to more resources, to more money. But then here's where you got to be smart. Take that money and do the smart thing with it. Don't just get a bigger TV because you had a 50-inch and now you want to go to the 80-inch. Don't just create more bills. Use that extra money, use that extra credit, use those extra opportunities to actually put yourself in a better position. So to me, that's the biggest thing. Pay attention to, like Marvin said, where's your bank account? Because if you're making more money every year, but if there's less money in your bank account, something is going wrong. So I think there's going to be a lot of great opportunities if we be smart, or if we are smart. So that's my biggest thing. Pay attention to yourself, your family, be smart, and take advantage of, these opportunities.
Awesome. I did want to kind of say something about the whole AOC thing, scenario, just because this was the lady that went down to the border and started crying, and it was a phenomenal press moment. Now she's here, and she's getting heckled by people saying, "Hey, guy, enough is enough," right?
Yeah, I think
Hello.
you ended up. Yes, now I can see
You're
you.
good.
Go right ahead.
I
See
was,
if
I was
you
yeah.
finish. Yeah.
So I hope that that Congress and Senate is actually paying attention to this, and they're actually going to be willing to do something about it. This never happened before. I mean, for people to be screaming, "Send them back" and all that stuff. Not in New York. Maybe somewhere else. Maybe more in a conservative state, but definitely not in New York. Being built by immigrants is something that we've never seen before. So it's definitely something to pay attention to. And I'm not a fan of her. But at the other side, if you put yourself in that position, then you get exactly what is there. I just hope that she does something. It's not just something that is for show, and that she doesn't victimize herself, which is what usually ends up happening. Poor me, poor this, versus actually taking action and doing something about it. As far as closing remarks, I kind of already went over it. The time for you to prepare for Christmas, the time for you to close out your year, the time for you to start thinking, if you want to have a phenomenal 2024, you don't start January 1st. You actually start prepping for it right now. Lose the weight now. Start your business now. What is it? Get better now. Build better relationships, build better alliances now, so that you have the opportunity to have a rolling start to 2024, and not necessarily like, oh, new year, new me. That doesn't happen for a lot of people that are extra successful, in that a lot of people look up to, including myself, right? I look up to a lot of people, and most of them say, I didn't have overnight success. It didn't start at a certain point. I prepared for it. And so that will be one. Start now. Again, pay attention to your surroundings, pay attention to the news, look at both sides, right? The other day I was sending stuff from other news outlets, because I do want to see.
We keep losing you there. The
Hello.
additional, yes,
Here
you
we
were
go.
saying the additional news outlets.
Right. So it's like I don't like being, I think the term is actually gaslighted, right? And you can be gaslighted from both sides of the equation. So it's like I want to drive myself crazy and look at both sides of the equation so that I get to make my own opinion. And so and at the end of the day, man, look at your associations. If you surround yourself by five intelligent people, you're bound to be the sixth one. If you're five rich people, you're gonna be the sixth one. If you surround yourself by five idiots, you're gonna be the sixth one. So choose who you're surrounding yourself with, so that you actually have the opportunity to become the fifth, the sixth successful person, or whatever it is that you want to become. Your choice, just make it yours and take actions to make it happen.
There you go.
With that being said, guys, I will tell you, for me, after this many years in the country, and to see that this is an issue that should be of significant concern for most people don't. It's not something that's helping move the needle for people to make some choices. To the question of security, to the question of, again, the many cases and instances where the law is actually broken by this incredible flow of people that we have right now, that it doesn't appear to be something that's going to be contained anytime soon. But again, going back to the simple fact that there is a real humanitarian crisis, that we can actually do it better and control it. That's the one thing that I always want to remind you, that if we actually do this properly, we can address anything from the proper age group that we need, from the proper way of getting people to become positive members of society, from the way of, there's a lot of people that are coming here right now with the wrong expectations, because that's precisely what we are signaling. I hope somebody gets a handle, but it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it's going to get better. It looks like this whole thing is just going to continue to get. But I am surprised that as in the process of getting worse, there is so many people indifferent about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet at the same time, I am not surprised, because the economy can be very bad, and some people really just don't care about it. You know what I mean? And the fact that some people don't want to make any changes when it comes to political parties taking for granted their vote and who they're going to choose, just because, listen, you've been a Republican your whole life, you're going to be a Republican no matter what. Or you've been a Democrat your whole life, and your family has been a Democrat. And how dare you think on any other terms, if you're a guy with an accent, if your color is a little darker than usual, if how dare you think about any other choices? And the fact of the matter is that is precisely what social media has been able to do. You know what I mean? It's moving a lot of information, and people at some point will have no choice but to make some choices. I hope everybody will get a handle of their perspective because before you get a handle of your economy, before you get a handle of things that you need to do to improve your position, you got to do things to improve your perspective. So not only our channel, but there's so many channels right now that are. I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that we stay in a communication that is fair to everybody, where we open to hear what anybody has to say, from whether we agree or don't agree with your perspective. I want to make sure that it's part of an ongoing conversation, because what we are saying and what we are doing are convincing people to do certain things. And so if we are going to convince each other of something, we have to be able to convince each other of getting a hold of our family economies, right? Our economies at home. We got to convince each other of putting ourselves in a position where we can improve our financial and just in general, just improve as individuals type of position, right? And finally, just to be able to listen. For me, it goes back to the idea of embracing the American dream. I think that entrepreneurship is truly the fastest way for somebody to be able to embrace the American dream. Probably the one that gives you the opportunity to do it faster, but at the same time to do it at a higher level. It's not just a question of speed, but also significance, and also have the ability to open it up to a lot more people. You know what I mean? So with that being said, everybody, thank you for watching our conversation today. We invite you to like and share if there's anything that you in terms of your concerns going into, because right now the whole conversation about the election is just going to intensify as we continue to get closer. So whether it's a Hunter Biden that I promise you by the time we get there may not even be a factor, who knows, in the whole situation with artificial intelligence. And imagine if that wasn't enough, this whole situation with immigration, these are key points that should be points of significance already thinking when it comes to the election. So pass it around, pass the video around, like, subscribe, let people know that we are.
Comment below.
And I want us to 1,000% comment. We want to get your ideas. We want to get any of your questions that you would like us to address for you. Deeply grateful for the channel is growing. I think that soon we're going to be crossing over 5,000 subscribers. And I'm very humble, by the fact that people are paying attention to our message. And it's just a reminder that people are looking for leadership, for a fair conversation, and just trying to clear their ideas, looking for tools, man. Just how do I improve my position, and we hope to provide that. So
by the way, question of the day is
yes,
what are the 3 things that you're going to be doing, right, to close out the year and to make sure that you have you're preparing financially? So
there you go.
100%. Like to me, and I think I agree 100% with what you both got the opportunity to share. But the reason why I was saying look at your bank account is because I don't know if you're going to be able to gain the right perspective, because today the conversation is really very confusing. Everybody's pulling up numbers with things so you got to look at your current reality.
Yep.
Right. So the first thing is, again, can you find some discipline so that you don't find yourself buying things you don't need, unnecessary expensive. The people can really, you can make a difference. We can also budget a little better. All of us can do a better job when it comes to budgeting, right? Not being as wasteful as unfortunately sometimes we happen to. Number two is, make sure that you're putting yourself in a position where you can make a little more money. It's like, guys, there's a lot of problems that you can solve just by having a greater income. And number three is, pay attention to the opportunities that will come around, because you'll be surprised how there's going to be a property, there's going to be a business, there's going to be something that's going to come up for sale if you happen to be in the right position, right place, and hopefully have the right associations to help you put it together. Don't be afraid to also make a move. You know what I mean? And if you actually happen to be in that position, reach out to us. You know what I mean? If we have you have a specific scenario that you want us to look into and give you some feedback about what we believe. Again, it's not professional counseling. I don't want anybody. It's not legal. It's not accounting. It's just things that we can tell you based on some of the things that we know. If that's helpful to you, we're willing to share that knowledge and information that we have for free. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much. Till the next one. See you. And I appreciate you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, bye-bye.